Hi, this is Nick Matthias, principal bass trombonist of the Cinematic Symphony Orchestra, Video Game Orchestra, Clear and Repertory, Suburban Symphony, and many more. But I just wanted to talk about something I keep getting asked and something that people keep putting by me. Is the idea or the question of when someone should become or buy a bass trombone, and that's a tricky question for a few reasons. One of which I can think about is, it's a commitment. You're not buying like another tenor trombone over here where it's like another tenor trombone. You're buying, especially if you want a decent brand, you're gonna buy something that's like a car, or maybe even like a house down payment's worth of horn instrument. And the other reason is that it's tricky or it's subjective, is that it's really a person by person basis kind of question where, I'll get people and sometimes they don't know what they're talking about. And this is all my personal opinion. And I tend to be quite straightforward and frank about things. But people who oftentimes don't know who they're talking about, they'll just glorify the bass trombone like it's the instrument of the year forever. It's like their number one pick. And this usually comes from like younger tenor players and euphonium players who will play, and or tuba players who will play, and they're like, well, I'm not getting much out of this instrument, or well, I'd like to have a double, or well, something else. Like, about being versatile is a possibility. It's for whatever reason they pick it. But whatever that reason is, they love picking bass trombone. Now, what I oftentimes tell people, and I refuse, I won't gatekeep the instrument or the idea of somebody being ambitious about becoming a bass trombone player, but one of my main personal issues about people who skip the ladder and jump straight to bass trombone is that they oftentimes haven't become well versed with the slide of even like your basic straight horn, right? Or they haven't really gotten good of triggers and slide, like this F attachment tenor bass over here. And so when you go straight from like euphonium or from like a pea shooter horn to the bass trombone, that can cause a lot of issues. One, it can be incompetence on the horn, and there's no other way to put it. Two, air. How do you use the air? Are you used to using air with the slide, the tonguing, the glissing, the triggers that come with bass trombone, and how airflow is managed with those triggers and how to work around it? A lot of times they aren't. Now, for those who are ambitious and want to do it, I just encourage them to rent out the school horn or ask to borrow someone else's horn that isn't in use, that they don't care about. Something along those lines. And give it a semester or two. Take your time. Get really good with the horn itself. Then get the range under your belt, because when you're a bass trombone player, it's about range. And not only do you need to have those super lows down and be able to play just as low as a tuba and contra, but you need to be able to play as high as French horn, trumpet, tenor trombone. You need to have the full range, super high all the way down to super low. And that's what you need to have down with bass trombone. Just because you're a bass trombonist doesn't mean you have to leave out the high stuff. It's like a full package. You got to have everything. After you get that down for a little bit, pass it by someone that you trust, and you trust to be frank with you. A professor, a teacher, private lessons, perhaps a friend who's really well versed, who's seen you practicing and working. Pass it by them. And, then you can make that sort of decision. But the reason I'm very apprehensive about just telling people to go for it isn't because I have anything to gatekeep. It's more or less keeping one's ambitions in check with the reality of just how long it takes to become a bass trombone player that's decent who will actually get to play bass trombone. When you get into your school ensembles, you want to become bass trombone player in your school ensemble. Okay. Are you going to be decent at it? Or are they going to pick somebody who plays tenor who's better at the low range than you? That's a genuine question. You got to become good at this stuff. And not only that, but there's some stuff that you either got or you don't got. And there's no other way to put it. And you either got it or you don't. And a lot of that has to do with just slide technique, ability, air capacity, the way you use your air, effectiveness, efficientness of air, and then of course tone quality. Bass trombones are good bass trombone players and great bass trombone players are expected to be basically in tune, if not all the time, at least 95% of the time. And that's not a joke. You have to be. Even if you're messing up, you better mess up in tune. If you're playing a wrong note, that wrong note better be in tune, and it better have really good quality. And then, of course, having to do with air, you have all this extra tubing right here, and you got to put air through it, and there's no other way to put it. And then, of course, if you want to get around to the level that I play at and higher, you would really want to think about what other instruments auxiliary they'll ask you to play. One of which is usually this. This is the contrabass trombone. It's like 5'7", 5'8", as far as height goes. That's in, feet, inches, 5 feet 8 inches. I'm not gonna go by metrics right now, but it's pretty tall. And with all that height comes tubing. So, you have to decide whether you're going to do it recreationally or if you want to go for it, can you even go for it? And of course, above all else, above everything else, if you were to put everything aside, let's say you were the God-sent player who was destined for bass trombone. Okay. But you still got to get there. Okay. It's a big financial responsibility. Huge. Like I said earlier, it's like a house down payment sometimes. You have to decide what level you want to go for. If you're just starting, buy an early professional horn. I'm talking obviously it's factory made. Obviously, you got all of the right tubing sizes and all of the right things for it to be a professional quality horn or professional level. But it's not like one of those super duper handcrafted, imported, you don't want to break the bank yet. You just kind of want to get a horn that works for you and that you can make great sound on. And some people have questioned me saying that, and all I have to say is that I've seen people absolutely rip through lines on horns that they get off of a Chinese website, and it astonishes me with either a great tone, technique, or they just have it, and that's cool. But I would recommend just going for something early professional. Once you got that down, and once you know where you're going, right around the time that you're approaching your master's degree or your next huge steps, if you continue to, with me, I'm going to audition. I've been accepted to audition and invited to audition, accepted and invited to audition at the Bard Conservatory, Manhattan School of Music, Boston U, Carnegie Mellon, and a bunch more. Unless you're, that's where I'm at. And so the question then must come up of pushing to the next level. Do you want to buy one of those super duper handcrafted horns that you have to personally probably drive out of state to even find a handle to test play, and get a feel for it? And not only that, but it differs per horn. They handcraft each horn. Maybe it sounds great with this model or this one horn of that model, but this other horn of that model, once you order it, maybe it doesn't. And all these questions come into variation, and they're on the table. But, you know, if you're playing recreationally or just as a student, if you get to that point, you should definitely think about getting an intermediate or early professional level bass trombone. Usually a university will have access to that. And if your high school has a partnership with a brand or a distributor that possibly has horns, like I know when I went to school, we had a deal with Yamaha. Our school's instruments were all Yamaha based. Anything got broken, we shipped it off to Yamaha, we got it back. You can always ask, if you're in high school, your band director, hey, I know we have, you know, our ins with this dealer, this company. Is there a way I can rent through the school or through that company a bass trombone? And you can usually work from there. But of course, you gotta get there first. It's very important that you get there, because if you're gonna do it, you gotta be good at it, right? Gotta give it your all. But that's that. And I think if you wanna play bass trombone, you should go for it. You should absolutely go for it. If you love playing low, if you can play super low, go for it. But you have to be able to take on everything that comes with it. And that is the important part that a lot of people forget. So with that being said, you know, if you're watching this video for advice, I hope you learned a little bit. All of this stuff is very much obvious. These are obvious decisions, but they're very long decisions that take a long time to figure out because of all of the stuff you have to do and all the stuff that goes into it financially and time-wise and commitment-wise. So I wish you the best luck, and obviously I want you to pursue what you like, and I hope you're good at it. Thank you.